Hello there, and here again. First of all, we have a guest today. We have my friend Gabriel from Brazil, who is visiting and who also has his own Facebook page.
Yes, and a YouTube channel. We have everything. Website as well, but the Facebook page, I'm especially proud of. I think.
And you speak how many languages?
I would say I can have a decent conversation in 10.
There you go. So, Gabriel is gonna. I have taken the questions that I received here on my channel, and I kind of summarized them a bit. I wrote it out in my handwriting. I don't know if Gabriel can read my handwriting.
Some words here that are
we'll try. The format is that he's going to ask me the question. I'll give an answer. He may disagree or whatever, and we'll see how it goes.
Oh, sounds great. Okay. I'm excited about this. So the first two questions are a bit related.
Right.
The first one is in Swedish.
Right.
How do you learn the different forms of the words in Swedish? Because there's different declensions.
Right.
I personally don't have a lot of knowledge of Swedish, but and the second one is how do you basically learn Portuguese verb conjugations? For example, vir and ver.
Right.
And of course, even me as a native speaker, I have problems conjugating verbs in Portuguese sometimes. So how do you do that, Steve?
Well, you know, it's a problem in a number of languages. I mean, there are a number of languages where the nouns or the adjectives change, you know, declensions, and verbs change per person, you know, tense and whatever. And I have gone through the experience of trying to study the tables, and I find that it's not very helpful. I still review them because I come across different forms of a noun or a verb, and I'm not entirely sure what form that is, and then I'll Google for that noun or that verb, and I'll see the table, and so I go back there all regular. It's like going to the water cooler in an office. You go there for a glass of water, and you come back. The main thing is you just have to get used to them. Like the person asked the question about Swedish and said there's so many different forms of plurals. I don't even know that. Like I don't even know that, but I speak Swedish actually quite well. It's one of my better languages because I've spoken it a lot. I've listened to a lot of audiobooks on Swedish history and stuff. But so I think what I do is when I'm reading, for example, for Portuguese, ver and vir it's kind of confusing. Every time I see it, I try to, if I'm reading a book, I'll underline it. If I'm on link, I'll save that phrase. I want to help my brain notice whenever that occurs, whenever that appears. But it's just a matter of a lot of exposure. And there are no quick solutions, coupled with occasionally reviewing the tables. But to try to nail down, like the person asked, when I come across a noun in Swedish, should I remember all the forms? You can't remember all the forms. It's not even worth trying. You won't. So that would be my answer there.
Yeah, and Slavic language is the same. Like Russian is all the cases, and you have to know that it's intense. So the third question here: how do you find the time, Steve, to I'm guessing either learning or keeping up
learning
with
or keeping
the
up.
languages.
I mean, the big thing is listening. You know, I would say that 70–80% of my learning time is listening. So if I'm doing anything around the house, I'm listening. If I'm in the car, I'm listening. If I'm cleaning the garage, I'm listening. You know, exercising, I'm listening. So the listening enables you to get up to that sort of critical mass, 1 hour minimum a day. And then if I listen to something, I don't understand it, then I gotta read, then I gotta link it, right? Then I'll perhaps work on my iPad. I do a lot of work, I should say now, on my iPad using iLink.
Okay.
Because it's very handy. I sit down in a comfortable chair, or I'm sometimes on my stepper at home. So it's a matter of trying to find ways to use, you know, dead time during the day.
May I add something? I think that this is really cool. Personally, I really like alternating into active and passive listening. So sometimes I'm driving around and I have a language in the background. So I'm just content, whatever it is. And then sometimes if I have time and I can focus on the language, then I go for active listening. Then I'm really paying attention and maybe reading the content as well. Maybe on link, maybe on something else.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I tend not to do. I mean, it depends on your definition of active listening. I won't sit down and listen. I never do that. Okay. If I sit down to learn, I'm going to read or link. But on the other hand, most of the things I listen to, unless I'm very advanced in the language, I'm also going to read. So in Russian today, I don't have to read it. I'll understand most of it. But in my Polish, for example, everything that I'm listening to, I've read, I've linked, and then I listen. So, however, I don't just sit down and listen. I never do that. But everyone does their own, thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
Question number 4. What is fluency?
You get this question all the time. To me, it doesn't matter. I've done business with people who speak English, whose native language is not English, who make mistakes, and they communicate. And I'm sure that when I communicate in other languages, I make mistakes. So if you can communicate, you're good. We can always improve, and yet I'm always glad that I'm able to do whatever I'm able to do. Fluency, I guess the definition simply of fluency is that you are comfortable handling, you understand what people are saying, and you can communicate on a variety of subjects, even though your pronunciation may not be all that great, and you make mistakes, and you're sometimes at a loss for words, and sometimes you don't understand what they're saying, but by and large, you're communicating, and the person isn't making allowances for you.
Okay.
So that's what it is.
I personally, I agree, and I also agree that it's not. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis in it, and I think